What happens when a group of men risks everything to save a helpless baby gorilla from a silent jungle predator? They expect danger, but not what the mother does next. What followed left even the toughest of them absolutely frozen. You ever find yourself in a situation where your brain says, "Don't do it," but your gut kicks back? Too late, we're already in it? That was me. And trust me, I ain't the heroic type. I was just a guy on the wrong side of 50 with a bad knee, a half-wrecked pickup, and a short fuse for human stupidity. But there I was, up to my neck in vines, heat, and bugs that looked like they had gym memberships, chasing after something I never expected to care about. It started the way these things usually do, with something small, innocent. We were deep in the Congo Basin on a volunteer wildlife mission, not the Instagram kind with filtered sunsets and fake compassion. No, this was raw, sweaty, mosquito-biting, mud-on-your-soul kind of work. I was helping out a few researchers tracking primates, the big chest-beating kind. Gorillas. Not for glory, not for clicks, for truth. That morning, we stumbled on something off. The forest went quiet. Now, if you've never been in the jungle, you might think silence is peaceful. It's not. Out here, silence is a warning shot. Something bad was nearby. Something real bad. And then I saw it. A baby gorilla no bigger than a toddler, sitting by itself near a muddy clearing. Alone. No mother, no troop, no nothing. Just wide, wet eyes and shaking limbs. Now look, I'm not soft. I've seen animals come and go. But something about that little thing made me stop breathing. It wasn't just scared. It looked abandoned. Like it knew something was wrong and still waited for someone to fix it. So I stepped closer. Real slow. No sudden moves. The last thing I needed was to spook a baby gorilla and have its 400-pound mother come crashing through the brush like a furry bulldozer. But no one came. I whispered to it. Yeah, I talked to it like it was my grandkid. "Hey, buddy, you okay? Where's Mama?" I took another step, then another. It didn't flinch, just blinked like it was frozen in place. That's when I saw the trail behind it. Flattened grass, drag marks. I followed with my eyes, and my stomach did a nosedive. Something had been here, something that slithered. And that's when I heard the rustle. I snapped around, and I swear to every breath I've ever taken, what I saw next put a cold fist around my spine. Coiled just off to the side, half covered in leaves, was an anaconda the size of my damn truck's drive shaft. Glossy, slow-breathing, waiting. It had been watching both of us. Now, let me paint this right. I'm not Indiana Jones. I don't have a whip. I don't carry weapons. All I had was a stick, a radio, and about 30 years of bottled-up frustration at how often the world lets good things die alone. I didn't think. I just yelled. Not at the snake, not at the baby, at the sky, like a man too old to care and too stubborn to run. That shout snapped something. The baby jolted, finally, and the snake twitched. Not lunging, not yet. Just curious, calculating. I called into the radio like my life depended on it, because this time, someone else's did. "Code red, baby gorilla, anaconda, bring gear, now!" And just like that, it became a race. A race between a tired, grizzled man and a predator with all the patience in the world. But that's just where things started. What happened next changed everything. You won't want to miss how this spiraled into something no one expected, especially not the mother. I don't know what kind of person willingly runs toward a 20-foot snake, but apparently, I'm that kind of idiot now. The moment that baby gorilla twitched, the anaconda flared up like it had been waiting for the dinner bell. It didn't strike, not yet, but its body shifted in that slow, horrible rhythm, like a thick rope of muscle and calculation. I'd seen snakes before, but this one had no hurry. That's what made it worse. I grabbed the longest branch I could find, which, let's be real, was basically a glorified stick, and swung it in the snake's direction. I didn't expect it to back off. I just needed to buy time. Maybe 5 seconds. 10, if I was lucky. My radio was still squawking, and I could hear boots pounding through brush. The others were close, but not close enough. And that's when I noticed it. The second baby, hidden behind a log just feet from the first. Same wide eyes, same terrified little body, but this one was already tangled. Not fully, but enough. The snake had already started its work, slow and silent, a death grip in progress. I shouted again, louder this time, waved the stick like a lunatic. It looked ridiculous, but I didn't care. The snake didn't flinch, didn't hiss, didn't blink. It just tightened. And the baby let out this tiny broken yelp that punched me in the gut harder than any grown man ever could. That's when Lawrence broke through the tree line like a linebacker, machete in one hand, net in the other. He didn't ask questions, didn't shout. He just saw what I saw, and launched himself forward like a man possessed. "Go for the neck," I yelled. "We need it to let go." We weren't trying to hurt the thing. Well, not fatally. This was still a protected zone. But that didn't mean we were about to let it squeeze the life out of something innocent while we stood around playing nice. Lawrence hacked once, twice. The blade bit deep, just behind the jawline, not to kill, just to shock. It worked. The snake released. Just like that, a snap, a spasm, and the baby tumbled free. Alive, barely. Lawrence scooped it up like a quarterback cradling a game ball and ran. I covered him. The anaconda, stunned but not out, recoiled, turning its heavy body in our direction like we were next on the list. I backed up slowly. No sudden moves. My knees felt like jelly and my breath came in wheezes. Not out of fear, out of rage. Rage that this baby gorilla had been left vulnerable. Rage that something so silent, so ruthless, had crept in like a thief and nearly got away with it. And that's when the ground shook. You ever felt that? Not a rumble, not a breeze, a shift in the air, like the trees were bracing themselves. I turned, and what I saw, let's just say, the anaconda wasn't the apex anymore. She was there, the mother. She moved like a storm on legs, huge, dark, muscles rippling under thick fur, eyes locked, and not on me, not on Lawrence, on the snake. It didn't matter that the anaconda was still 3 times the length of her body. She didn't care. She made a sound I'll never forget, something between a roar and a bellow. And the jungle answered. I backed away, slowly, hands up. "She's not here for us," I whispered. The snake knew it too. But even knowing that didn't prepare us for what happened next. This is it. The climax. Everything you've been waiting for. It's right here. Stay with me, because what the mother did next left us frozen in place. I've seen anger before. I've seen it in bar fights, in courtroom benches, in war vets biting their lips at folded flags. But what I saw in that mother gorilla's eyes, that wasn't just anger. That was something ancient. That was judgment. She didn't charge, not at first. She assessed, like a general measuring the battlefield. Her chest heaved once, twice. Every breath was a warning. Her eyes locked onto the snake like it owed her something. And I swear for a split second that Anaconda actually hesitated. Which was funny considering 5 minutes ago it thought it owned this forest. The gorilla stepped forward, slow, deliberate. The same way I once saw a mother walk into a school board meeting with fire in her gut because someone messed with her kid. She didn't need to yell. Her presence was enough. The snake twitched. She launched. It wasn't just brute force. It was precision. She slammed her fists down so hard the ground vibrated. The anaconda coiled defensively, but it was too late. She was faster, smarter. She grabbed the midsection and twisted, not to kill, but to paralyze, like she wanted it to remember this day, every second of it. The snake writhed, tried to slither, but she struck again. A backhand like thunder, not rage, not revenge, justice. And we didn't move, not a twitch. I've never seen Lawrence that quiet in my life, not even when his truck got stuck in the mud for 6 hours with a flat battery. She stood over the snake like a statue. Her breathing slowed. She turned her head, and that's when I realized she knew. She'd known the whole time, the babies, the danger, United States. She walked over to the second baby, the one we'd pulled out of the coils. Gently, with fingers the size of grapefruits, she scooped it into her arms, held it close. It whimpered. She made a soft grunt, soothing, maternal, human, almost. Then she turned to me. I braced, and then she reached out, one hand, not a threat, not a warning, a gesture. It took me a beat to understand, but when I did, I felt it all the way to my bones. She was thanking me, not in words, not with a smile, but with the kind of look you get from someone who sees you, really sees you. Not as a threat, not as a fool in khakis, but as a man who tried. Then, just as silently as she'd arrived, she vanished into the brush with both babies, like smoke through trees. Lawrence finally let out a breath that sounded like it had been trapped since 1997. "You all right?" he muttered. "Nope," I said. "But I'm alive, and so are they." We left the Anaconda. It was still breathing, barely. But nature's got its own laws, and that day, justice came wrapped in black fur and mother's wrath. And as we made our way back to camp, radio crackling, hearts pounding, one thing stayed with me. In a world full of watchers, be the one who steps in. Even if you've got nothing but a stick, a limp, and some badly timed courage. Because sometimes, the jungle doesn't need heroes. It just needs someone who gives a damn.